Okay. Good evening. It is December 14th, 2023. It is 6:16 and we will open the meeting. We will take attendance first, beginning with John. Could you say your name and the district that you come from or how you got here?
Yes, I'm
Whose fault it is?
John Brunza, and I am a mayoral appointment.
Thank you and welcome to the committee.
Thank you very much.
Brandy Brown, District 3. Kenya Middleton, Mayor appointee.
Mary Ann Callahan, First Ward.
5th District.
6th District. This evening, we will hear your presentations. We'd like you to keep them to 5 minutes if that's at all possible, and we will have a short period of question and answer after that. We're hoping to give you the most efficient timings, so to get you home before the snow comes. But we will be asking you some questions afterwards. So, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. The first group on our agenda is mothers and babies. Okay, it'll go up and I'm here. Okay. Yeah, right there, please. Turn on the mic once you have the green light and speak right into it so we can hear you. Seated, well, however you're comfortable, however you're most comfortable.
Well, good evening. That sounds good.
Can you get it? Is
Little
the
closer.
green light on?
Right there. Green light's on.
Okay, as close to you as possible.
Okay. Okay. So good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. And also, I do want to say thank you because we have been supported by the city of Binghamton through the CDGB for a number of years for our Parents as Leaders Family Resource Center. My name is Sharon Chesney. I'm Executive Director of Mothers and Babies. And the PAL Center is a drop-in center for parents with infants and toddlers. Our idea, our goal there is, I was going to give myself a timer, so I.
Oh, that's okay. We'll let you know. There's a
Okay.
big hook that comes down and just takes you out.
Oh, good. Okay. We're a drop-in center. The whole concept behind a family resource center is to reduce the incidence of child abuse and neglect. How do we do that? We help do that by helping parents do the most important job in the world, caring for their children. And we all know how difficult it can be to raise a child. So, we're there as a resource for families. And oftentimes people think that we're really there for the children. And while we are ultimately, because we want that optimal health, wealth, and development of the babies and children, really the goal and key to that is through the parents. So our goal is to support parents in whatever aspect they need. If it is formal parenting education, we provide that. If they need one-on-one in any sort of respect, we provide that. If they need housing assistance, food assistance, whatever it is, we'll get them connected to the right organization. We help introduce a lot of other community services to families through small invitations in the center or through or connecting the family directly with the center. I wanted to, if I can. I apologize. I meant to do that in the beginning. Just a couple of pictures that show you that the center is really a place where parents can come and it is a safe place for themselves and their children. We also work very closely with the family courts and with DSS, and we do a number of supervised visits throughout the year. This past year, we average around 50 to 70 visits per month for families who are working towards reunification with their children. This, for the first 9 months of this year, we actually had a total of 358 individuals registered at the center. That was 151 parents and 207 children. 213 of those total are actually CDGB eligible. So you can see that we really are fitting the goals that the city has with the funding that you all receive from HUD. Of the supervised visit parents, there are 53 parents that we're actively doing visitation with over the past year, and 23 of those are again CDGB eligible. And again, as I mentioned, averaging 50 to 70 visits per month. The goal that we have is to really work with parents and to never judge. Everyone knows that the PAL Center is a safe place for parents to come with their children predominantly infants, toddlers, but really up to 5 to 6 years of age. And again, with our partnership with DSS and Family Court, we often see families with older children as well. Our goal again is to help them address the issues that they are having, whether they are there for a visit or if they're just there for a drop-in and general support. We have 2 staff who run the center, and then we supplement that by the collaborations we do with probably more than 25 other organizations around the city or the county. Bonnie is our PAL Center coordinator. She's been with us 10 years. So I picked up the phone this afternoon and called her and said, Bonnie, I'm meeting with CDGB tonight. Tell me again why you're still here. And the first thing she said is, don't make me cry. But she said, I'm here because I see the difference that we make with families. We let parents breathe when they come in and they've maybe had stressors in the home, or they don't have enough at home to sustain themselves or their children. They don't have the right playthings for their children. They know they can come in and this is a safe place for them to be with their child, an opportunity to connect with other families, other parents, to talk about some of the challenges of being parenting and to help their kids connect with other children. She told me about one particular mom who has a special need child. And she felt she's oftentimes very hesitant to go out into public areas because her child will routinely sort of misbehave, acting as that normal child. And she said that she knows that when she comes to the PAL Center, this is really a safe place for her little boy, that he can do what he needs to do, he can play, and we can actually help her find the right activities for him developmentally. And if he should act out, we have private spaces where he can go and de-stress and relax a little bit. So the work that we do is really critical in helping families in every aspect of their life. The pictures show you just a quick a sample of some of the activities. We have a reading activity that goes on a weekly basis. We recently did a breakfast for families. We'll be doing holiday events, celebrating all sorts of holidays, no matter what their religious faith is. And in our annual report that you have there, you can see information about more detail on the PAL Center, as well as the other programs that we offer.
Thank you. So you went over and no hook came down. So I was kidding about the hook.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Do we have any questions? See, there you go.
I just had one question. What ages do you serve? You said up to 5 or 6?
So the PAL Center itself is predominantly designed for families with infants and toddlers, children up to age 5 or 6. But as I mentioned, when we're doing visitation, then we will take families with older children. We just don't have a lot of the same activities, for the older children. So we try to be, we try to make sure we have some, but predominantly it's that under 6 population.
How do your clients come to you?
Clients come to us in a variety of ways. We partner very closely with a lot of other organizations in the city and in the county. And so many of the home visiting programs bring their families over to us. They introduce them to the center through our community health workers, which work with our pregnant moms and new families. They often refer a family over to the center. We get a lot of referrals from ACBC because of people who are in care. And we also work closely with the methadone clinic. So a lot of women who are working in recovery will often come to the PAL Center. Really, the referrals come from almost any aspect you can hear of. And then oftentimes it's word of mouth, one parent coming in, if they may know a neighbor or someone else, they'll refer someone over.
Do you have a limit on how much time a family can spend per week with you?
Not at all. We're open 5 days a week. A parent can come every single day. They can stay from the moment we open in the morning until the hour we close in the evening. I would also say that on Thursday evenings, prior to COVID, every Thursday we did a dinner bell where we found that a lot of families who did not have enough food at home were there for the food. And we're just restarting those. So we're now doing them once a month. And so again, a family can come from the start on a Thursday when we open at 2 and stay until 7. Any other day they can stay as long as they want, and including our supervised visits, as long as it's a planned timing with their caseworker, they can stay, they can take their entire visit in the center.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I would honestly need my staff to answer that more definitively, but I know that when we were doing tracking on timing for our visitations, we had families that would visit anywhere from 1 hour up to 3 hours. And we do have families who, again, come to tend and stay for at least 2 to 3 hours, a minimum, usually in the center. Where we have very short term is because we have our children's clothing closet. Anybody can come in. They don't have to be registered at the center. They don't have to be routinely coming to the center. They can simply stop in and pick up clothing for their child. Particularly this time of year, there's a lot of need for children's coats and mittens and hats and things like that. And so really anybody can refer someone, or a family can just drop in and get that clothing. Absolutely. We welcome those donations. No, a parent always has to be with their child. Correct. Or it could be another caregiver. So it could be a grandparent. It could be a daycare provider. Mhm.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. How has your participation numbers changed over the past few years?
Well, clearly with COVID, first of all, with COVID, we had to shut down, for probably the first 9 months of 2020, as COVID hit. We then had to set up private stations. And so that naturally limited the number of families that could come in, and more particularly limited the number of supervised visits we could do at any one time. At the beginning of this year, we actually received a small grant from United Way, and then we had to use some of our reserve funds, but we created 2 private rooms. And that then allowed us to bring more families back in on the drop-in and still have dedicated space for visitation. So our numbers definitely have decreased, slowly coming back as both parents are more comfortable, coming back in and continuing to grow that way. Mhm.
No other questions? Thank you, Sharon,
Okay.
very much.
Thank you all very much. Absolutely. And I
Have a great
one more
holiday.
if you want me.
Absolutely. And our second agency is Safe Streets. And while they are coming, I'd like to do a couple of housekeeping things. Can the record show that? Yes, Mr. McGregor, Justin McGregor is now with us.
Thank you.
And I would urge my colleagues to speak very clearly into the mic so that everybody can hear your questions. I'm sorry, Justin.
That's all right.
Those little blurbs.
This is what happens when they don't- It's your birthday.
Yeah, I know.
Do whatever you want.
Thank you.
Does that mean you can leave? No, no, not that.
Okay.
Not that. Hi, thank you.
Perfect. You want to go to sleep with this one? No. You want to go to sleep? No. No. You don't have to recuse until we vote. Absolutely. As long as you're.
My job presenting too. Today.
You should make you sit under the table.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us. My name is Bryce Reynolds. I'm with the Noma Community Center, well, Safe Streets. This is George, one of our board members, Grace, Steve, and Alistair.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So yeah, the Noma. What we are is really a community anchor for the Census Tract 13. If you want to switch slides, that's our new location. We used to be at, well, we still are technically at 85 Walnut Street, but we're moving to 30 Main Street. Overview of Census Tract 13. It's between the railroad tracks, Main Street, Jarvis, no, not Jarvis, Clinton, and Front Street. We have some statistics for Census Tract 13. You'll see the median household income and population below the poverty line, childhood poverty rate, and all of that is significantly lower or higher, sorry. Income is lower. Population below the poverty line and childhood poverty are significantly higher than both the city of Binghamton and Broome County. And you also see that we have a significantly lower rate of people with bachelor's degrees. Our mission statement is to be a place where all people can come to learn from one another, work together, and contribute to a healthy, vibrant neighborhood in which residents feel welcome and engaged. Really, one of the things that we're focused a lot on is building social capital. You get that from having people interact with each other. We've had folks who their kids would skip school if their parents were sick and they didn't have someone to walk them to school, say Horseman or what have you. And they met up with other people who, over at the Noma Community Center to, they made connections and they would walk to school together with their kids, making it so that those kids didn't have to skip class without their parents. Next slide, please. Number of programs that, am I too close to this thing?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't want to say anything, but yes.
Feel free if I get. too
No, the
close
hook
to
comes
it.
down if, it goes on too long.
So we've got a number of programs over there. First off, and most significant is our Saturdays. We have, we serve lunch. We have Binghamton Food Rescue, who is a partner of ours. They collect food and produce from the farmer's market. They bring it over after the farmer's market closes, distribute it to people waiting in line. So they can have fresh produce at no charge. We have an art group on Saturdays, and also while people are waiting for the food rescue folks to show up, they, engage in art activities and get lunch for free. And Binghamton Food Rescue is moving with us to our new location as well. Next slide. Another activity we partnered up with Cost Cutters over on Glenwood Avenue and Sulamina Burns from Support Black Business 607 to provide getting back to school haircuts for kids prior to when the school year started again. Next slide. Every week we have Teachers Tuesdays. We have a bunch of teachers come over from Horace Mann Elementary School, give the kids something to do after their, after school gets out. And we've also had what is it? Summer break. Sorry, we have summer break activities also, and parents get to talk to each other, kids get to play together and all that stuff. It's just enriching for them. Next slide. This was our fall festival. This year, normally it was done in Walnut Street Park with the assistance of City of Binghamton and Binghamton University. This year we had it at our 85 Walnut Street location. It was a really big turnout. It was really impressive. We had, they strung up a bunch of apples between the trees. You had kids biting on them and everything. Candy cornhole was another activity that I'm a fan of. I was standing in front of that, trying to actually land a candy corn in a cup. Next slide. We have Family Fun Days with Lords and their ACEs program. And if you're not familiar with ACEs, it's acronym for Advanced Childhood Experiences, which is, there's a scale that based on the type of experiences a child has, can determine potential health issues later on in life. And a lot of that is to identify it and also work with people who have experienced adverse childhood experiences. There's also a Zumba class, which I have not participated in yet. Next slide. For Christmas, we have Santa's Workshop. This is actually coming up this weekend on Saturday, 11 to 1 at our new location, 30 Main Street. We partner with Horace Mann School. Principal Peters shows up, he cooks pancakes dressed up as Santa. The main thing that this is about is we collect donations for gifts from the community, and the kids go through, their parents go and they get a pancake breakfast. And the kids go through and they pick out gifts for their parents, get them wrapped, and then they can have a gift that they can give to their parents for Christmas or guardians, adults, just in general, they're adults. Next slide. You may have seen the news bit on Around the Tiers. This just went out yesterday, announcing the Santa's Workshop and going into detail about all of that. Again, that's this Saturday, 11 to 1. Stop by if you'd like to see. There's some candy canes I brought in. We got some pancakes that are going to be cooked up. Check out the new digs. Next slide. And we also have cooking classes where we, some of our partners are Cornell Cooperative Extension, Vines. We've also had the Broome County Art Walk. We have a station there with the Broome County Arts Council. And previous years, we've had Cranberry Coffee House and the Binghamton Philharmonic. They play music and live music for folks who stop in, have coffee and just, a meal. Next slide. So our new chapter, we're looking for funds to support our program, expand hours and programming. And one of the other things that I didn't touch on, Teacher Tuesdays also, we make a home cooked meal, hot meal, send home with the kids. We also have community members join us. And we just chat and hang out, and yeah, it's just a place where people can come and just focus.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? I do. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
Can you tell me what is the population of that census tract?
It's about 3,000 people.
3,000?
Yes.
Thank you.
How do your people come to you? Is it word of mouth? It sounds like you're raising community awareness. Is that a
Yes.
fair thing to say?
A lot of it has been word of mouth, both through teachers at Horace Mann and the faculty there. Also, we just run into people on the street and tell them what's going on. And
Yeah, I asked the question because when I was growing up in the first ward, that's what we had. All the grownups knew who you were and you couldn't misbehave because they tell your parents kind of thing. Sounds like that's the kind of stuff you guys are doing.
yes.
Trying to do. No, yeah, it's a concept of social capital to be explained to certain generations, that we can understand it because it just used to be all your neighbors knew you. Yeah.
Did I run out my 5 minutes?
Yes, you did. You actually went to 6, but we didn't say anything. Yes, Brand.
Yes. That's what I was going to do. That's why I was asking that.
No, you have more than 30 seconds. Come on.
Hi, everyone.
Since she's put you there, we want to make you comfortable. Please feel free.
Okay, hi, everyone. My name is Grace Henderson, and I'm a third year at Binghamton. I was invited here tonight by
Can you speak
Brand.
or can you put it a little closer, hon?
Yeah,
so we
is this
can hear you?
better? Is
Yeah.
that good? Okay. Third year. Yes, my name is Grace. Invited by Brandy, who I'm very, very fond of, and of NOMA just in general. I've had some of my best experiences as a student at NOMA. Currently, I co-lead the art group on Saturdays, which is a lot of fun. We get to engage with kids, and sometimes we can wrap in some adults to do some painting with us as well, which we really enjoy. I've also helped with the BFR food drive, which I think is really important. If we're looking at the statistics on the board, seeing what percentage of the population lives in poverty, and of course, they're going to be dealing with food insecurity and all of these other issues. And NOMA is just such a phenomenal integrated space that has access to all of these resources. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for people. And it's just been really valuable for me to play a role in that and to see how much everybody here cares so much about NOMA and of the people in this community. And students really love NOMA as well. We get a really good turnout every Saturday and throughout the week as well, because there's a really large population of us that are invested in this community, even though it's like our adopted or host community. And we want to do what we can to have it be the best that it could be. So NOMA is a wonderful place. Very happy that I've gotten the experience to be a part of it.
And Grace, just to clarify, you're in your third year where?
At Binghamton University.
Binghamton University.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
We just
you.
wanted to make sure. Thank you very much. You can get Brandy later for putting you on the spot, okay? Any other questions?
No.
I think, Jake, Justin.
The new space, how much larger is it compared to the old one?
It's not a lot of, it's not as much outside space, but we have usage 2 days a week of the fellowship hall. It's at the First Congregational Church, and that's a gym with a stage and there's a commercial kitchen. So it really is an upgrade. And there's another spot that we're working on getting up a technology enabled classroom.
Mhm.
So with a 65-inch flat screen and a bunch of laptops and such.
Oh, nice. Okay. Thank you.
Does changing your location have any impact on your sense of neighborhood?
It's a little on the outskirts of the neighborhood, but the trade-off there is it's more visible. So before, the previous location was 85 Walnut Street, so it's a mansion behind the
Yeah, you had to go
Salvation
off
Temple.
Main Street to find it, yeah.
Yeah, and you couldn't really see it. We hadn't gotten any approval for signage or anything yet. But the new place, 30 Main Street, you just have people walking by. It's right next door to DSS, across the street from the high school. It's just a phenomenal location.
And you still have access to the Walnut Street Park, right?
We do not. Oh, we have access to the Walnut
the
Street
park,
Park,
yeah.
yes.
For
Yes,
outside
for
stuff.
outside or outdoor things.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it and we appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Our
Thank you for
neighborhoods
having us.
need it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Triple Cities Makerspace. Good evening.
Good evening. I have a presentation to go with this, but it doesn't follow with what I've written down. It's just a way to sneak in some extra information.
You mean this is in addition to the pass outs? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. just-
Okay,
Just some slides.
no problem.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm going to rely on my notes a little heavier than I'm accustomed to.
Not a problem.
If not, I would could be unruly and I'd run really long. And I'm pretty sure the hook I've been hearing about is not rated for me, so. My name is Stephen Mushak, and I'm the Executive Director of Triple Cities Makerspace. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm excited. This is our organization's first time applying for the Community Block Grant. And I'd like to take a moment to introduce the Makerspace to everyone who's unfamiliar with our organization. Its
Steve,
mission.
could you put the microphone a little closer?
Sure. Its mission and our programs. Triple Cities Makerspace is a 501c3 not-for-profit charitable organization. We have a dual mission. Half of that mission is to go out into the community and promote STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And a couple of examples of what that might look like, especially pre-pandemic. We partner with a school or a library or have a presence at a community event. For examples, one of the schools that we partnered with revolved around a Mars rover challenge. We helped the school create a pretty elaborate Mars landscape. We built basic rovers for the students to that they could operate with a cell phone. The students then built additional tools on top of their rovers, like a storm, to carry out tasks on the Mars landscape, such as gather rock samples or reach a particular destination. And the really neat thing is that we also created a mission control away from the landscape to more realistically simulate how actual Mars rovers are communicated with. We partnered with libraries to do robotics classes for children, educate about 3D printers, and just recently partnered with Binghamton University students as part of their Emerging Leaders program and put on an event combining technology, arts and crafts, and literacy at the Broome County Library. You can move to the next slide. The Makerspace has facilities located in downtown Binghamton, located between Benedum's and Lupo's S&S Char Pit, and across the street from Serafini's. And that brings me to the other half of our mission, which is to provide to our membership every kind of tool you can imagine to be creative and to create with, along with helping people to understand how to use those tools and resources. We have a metal shop, a wood shop, a kiln, an electronics lab, 3D printers, a laser cutter, soldering stations, computer access. We have an artisan area and a small dedicated classroom. You can move to the next slide. Next slide. While we have gathered what I consider to be a wide range and an impressive amount of tools and technology into one location, the real value of the Makerspace is the membership. We have members from all walks of life with diverse backgrounds, from artists to engineers, ranging in age from 5 to members in their 80s, professionals in their fields. One of our members was a retired electrical engineer, and among other places, he did work for NASA and has literally worked on things that have made its way into space. And to bookend that, one of our younger members, who was just at the beginning of his career, leads a group of university students attempting to become the first verified group of students to send a rocket into space. With all of these resources and talent and wanting to do more for our community, the Makerspace started workforce development programming in advanced manufacturing, catering to distressed populations, including the unemployed, underemployed, marginalized communities, and veterans. That program is underway, and we currently have 9 students going through the program. This program is free, and after they complete the program, we will try to assist them with finding gainful employment with local manufacturers desperate to fill open positions. You can move to the next slide. We're also in the process of launching an Art for All program. Art is known to have therapeutic and cathartic effects on mental health. Through artistic resources and programming, we are looking to provide a healthy outlet for vulnerable populations, such as those suffering the mental and emotional stresses of the pandemic, the special needs, individuals and their families, and the community at large. The pandemic had an especially profound effect on those within the special needs community and their families. There are limited access to resources and socialization outlets for those types of families, and the pandemic only made that worse. As an organization, we understand that resources are always limited and that the priority rightly goes to programs that address the most immediate needs of the most vulnerable in the community, like housing and nutrition. But I believe we are also offering something essential. Like most, our business was, and in some ways still continues to be, harmed by the pandemic. Our long-term strategies for being self-sustaining while maintaining these types of programs has been set back by the pandemic. However, we are still making progress. In fact, as planned, we have started to take on work utilizing the Makerspace's resources to raise those funds. Recently, we were approached by Rob Salamita Speedy Sauce fame. His product line had been shut down after a part broke that is no longer being manufactured. For most advanced manufacturing companies, manufacturing a single or limited part is not cost effective enough to take on. For us, it's exactly the kind of thing we're looking for. Now, every time I tell this story, it gets a little bit better. Right now, we are responsible for averting the Great Speedy Crisis of 2022. And after I tell this story a few more times, we'll have saved Speedies for the world.
That's fair.
But kidding aside, another long-term strategy for us is to sustain our operations and programming, was to increase our membership. And as I mentioned earlier, that is what I consider to be the real value behind our organization. It's the membership. And as it turns out, the pandemic with idle businesses, lockdowns, and social distancing has not been the best environment for increasing that membership. For $50 per month, a person can join our organization and gain access to the resources we offer. This is one of the lowest membership rates for an organization like ours going. Despite that, though, Broome County, Binghamton, and Census Tract 5 in particular, where the Makerspace is located, has increasing amounts of the population below the poverty line. The Makerspace, in a lot of ways, realizes the goal of a diverse melting pot. Members exchange their knowledge, collaborate, share their experiences, and they help one another. As a result, the overall group benefits from the diversity. My daughter has a genetic condition, medically fragile, terminal, and 2 of the students in our workforce development program asked if they could say a prayer for her. They are immigrants from Haiti, and they recited a song and prayer in their native language. Aside from being moving, the experience itself struck me. Where else in my travels would I be able to encounter something like that one moment and be exchanging knowledge with someone who worked at NASA the next? Next August, 2023, the Makerspace will celebrate its 10th anniversary as a business in Broome County, 7 years of which have been at our Binghamton location. As I mentioned, this is our organization's first year applying for this funding. For the past decade, we have grown and become a strong force for good in the community, following our mission and our programming. I am the organization's sole employee, which is one more than we had prior to the pandemic. This funding will allow us to continue on that path, fund operations, and allow us to expand and share our membership with community members that otherwise could not afford to participate. We're asking for your help to expand our reach deeper into the community so that more people may benefit from what we have to offer. With our funding request, we would be able to subsidize membership for up to 32 individuals or more members if they include their family members for 1 year. In doing so, you would also be helping us to continue on with our mission and our programming. With that, good luck with your fundings. I hope they go really well.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Do we have any questions? Michelle?
I see that you have here 24-hour access.
Yeah, at this time we do.
How is that possible? How does that work?
Well, because of the membership I was talking about, the professionals in their field, we have some pretty smart people. They designed and created our own internal access control system. So you enter the Makerspace with a key fob and you badge in, and then internally, the most dangerous of our tools also have access. And if you're not rated for it, it won't turn on for you. So for 24 hours a day, if you had a particular hankering to weld something at 2 in the morning or run a table saw or use a kiln, you could do that if you're rated for it.
Steve, can you tell us, I looked at your presentation just to make sure. You don't actually go into how you came to be, what you are is so unique. Can you give us a very brief couple of sentences about how you came to be?
How we came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want, so there's 3 iterations of that.
Remember the hook. Okay.
There's 2 unsuccessful ones, and then there's the one that I was.
Oh, we're into
helped define,
success.
so
We're
let's-
into successes. Yeah,
Okay.
we're a very positive group.
So that one started, it was basically a group of a couple people who had a bunch of makerspaces. They crop up in cities
Oh,
with similar enthusiasts. Ours came the same way. A few people who were technologically inclined, who had a bunch of resources, got together and started it. And then it kind of grew from there. We started in Johnson City, the old school building.
Mhm.
we kind of outgrew. We were looking for something that was a better cross from industrial to family friendly. And we ended up in Binghamton. The actual story there is one of our board members, his son was a disabled veteran, and he had a settlement with the government when his son passed away, and he wanted to use that funding for something he thought his son would enjoy. And he gave that funding to us to purchase the building that we now have on State Street.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions? John?
You mentioned wanting, excuse me, you mentioned wanting to subsidize membership.
Yes.
How would you go about identifying the criteria for those who get the subsidy?
Well, like right now, as I mentioned, we're doing a workforce development program. And a certain percentage, I would personally like to be that, to keep them on and around the makerspace, to continue using the resources we have. Should they not be employed, they can keep developing their skills until we can get them employed. So I think basically we would go out and search for them as underprivileged people who could not normally afford it. This is an excellent way to actually bring in people who really want to be there, but just can't afford it. I mean, $50 is, you know, like I said, it's reasonable for the type of facility we are and everything you get access to. But in this area, it's also very expensive to get in there. So it would be, to my mind, an interview process where we could take the people we think could benefit the most and allow them to come in.
Piggybacking on what John just asked you, would there be a committee that would look at this? I mean, who would actually do the interviews and make the decisions?
Yes.
There would be
That's how I envision it.
A
Yes.
group. Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I think that's awesome. That having kids learn skills and stuff for the work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have all these really smart individuals and all these resources. It was just the next logical step for
Yeah.
what
Great.
we do.
I have a lot of plumbers, electricians, and my welders in my family, and I think that kids should learn more of that.
6 to 8 Friday nights were open.
I may be there.
Open night.
I might be there.
One skill gap in all the, I mean, we have people who put things in space. We have 2 skill gaps. One is someone who can do HVAC and plumbing. So send them on down.
Well, there aren't many places around here where you can hobnob with NASA people, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, to be able to bounce ideas off people like that
Yeah,
and the
that's great.
stories that they
As
have.
kids can aim
Yeah.
high that way. That's
Yes.
awesome. Thank you very much,
Yep.
Steve. One more question?
$19,440 is pretty specific. Can you just tell me how you got that number?
Well, I believe the amount was 20, and we figured that amount would allow us 32 members or a different subset. Currently, we have a membership tier that if you're a member, anyone you cohabitate with, like a spouse,
Lean forward just a little bit.
anyone that you cohabitate with, a spouse, a sibling, whatever, is just another $10 on top of
Oh, okay.
the full membership. So we figured that it would either subsidize 32 members or a combination of members and family.
Okay.
So the 19,440 is correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
We're,
Thank you.
we're engineers, so we ask for what we need.
Yeah, I worked in Afghanistan with engineers. I understand completely.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just specifically asked because on the paper I'm looking at, it says to subsidize 27. So my number on my watch, on my calculator was going a little bit different. I was like, is there a
It's
specific reason?
20, it's
It's 32.
that or family, so yeah.
Okay, perfect. No problem. Thank you.
awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for our next agency, which is the Broome County Council of Churches, let us make note of the fact that Deborah Hogan is here. And this will be reflected in the ending attendance. You can speak then.
Thank you.
We have a meeting. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Bundy, and I'm the Broome County Council of Churches Ramp It Up Coordinator. I'd like to thank Steve Carson and the committee for inviting me tonight to have the opportunity to apply for a $20,000 community development block grant. I'd like to give you a little information tonight about Ramp It Up. Tell you what one of our clients had to say, and this was an unsolicited email that I got from her, and why we indicated that we will build 263 feet of ramp for some citizens living in Binghamton. And then finally have a slideshow that will show you some of the projects that we have done and the people that are responsible for building the ramps, and then open it up to questions and answers. Ramp It Up has been around since 2009. And this past October, we completed our 204th ramp. Along with that, we also remove ramps when they're no longer needed and recycle them if possible. And we also repair ramps. And I do have some sections of aluminum ramp that we can loan to folks as needed. So we've helped an additional 28 people out over the years, which brings it to a total of 232 people that we've helped to improve their mobility here in Broome County. And the program is possible through the generosity of all the residents of Broome County. All the monies that we have come from donation. And here's what one of our clients had to say about the program. I'll read this email to you. Hello, Bob, and all the other ramp builders. I want to thank you all for this amazing ramp. I came home in September from hospitals and rehab after a spinal cord injury. My house was inaccessible. I needed a ramp, and I found the Ramp It Up program. I spoke to Bob Bundy, found out that I qualified, and then sort of forgot about it since there were so many other pressing issues. But Ramp It Up didn't forget. Ramp It Up persisted, visited me, found a design that worked, and made plans for a June build. When the date was set, it sank in that this was real, but I didn't know what that meant. I was picturing some planks nailed together to get me off the porch. Boy, was I wrong. You build a huge addition to my life, not just a way to get out of the house. It was a way to enjoy the outdoors again, expand my living space, get the exercise I need, and most importantly, it's given me some optimism about the future. David and I are grateful. I'm sure we're not the only ones. Keep up the good work. And that was from Alexandria. And I'm sure you want to know how this process gets started. And usually it's from a phone call. And the phone calls go something like this. Bob, my father-in-law is coming home from the hospital next week, and I need a ramp. What do I need to do? Well, first of all, we have to see if your father-in-law qualifies. Is he a resident of Broome County? The answer is yes, he qualifies. Second thing I usually ask them is, what type of time frame do you have in mind? When do you need the ramp? And most always, it's always sooner than later. And next week would be great when he comes home. And at that point, I have to say, geez, I'm sorry. We won't be able to meet your deadlines, but I'd encourage you to fill out an application and get involved in the program. And I go into a lot more detail, but in the interest of time, I won't go into that tonight. And then I asked them, how many steps are there to get from where you enter the house to where you'd like the ramp to end? And I'm going to say 4 steps just for the sake of explaining this example to you. A step is usually between 7 and 8 inches. So they're telling me that there's 28 to 32 inches of height to be able to get from the ground up to the ramp. And I asked Kenya if she'd assist me with this example. So if you could come up here, Kenya. And hopefully you can take a look at this tabletop. Probably somewhere around 30 inches exactly. So what I'm going to ask Ken to do.
Oh, sorry. Big stomach. Too short.
Oh, no,
Well,
way too short.
He had no influence on our decision.
Keep going.
With just 4 steps. And in our application, I told you that we would build 263 feet of ramp. And the reason I said that is right now it costs us about $76 to build a foot of ramp. That's only for materials, for insurance on the truck, gas for the truck, all those things. The way we came up with that number, we just keep track of all the expenses during the year. At the end of the year, I say, look, how much is the ramp we built? We divide that into the number of about $76. Those are including the Labor is free, done by volunteer groups. Volunteer groups, usually a group of 4 adults and 8 students. So when I go out to the field, I can use the 14 people there. And look at the map on 50 foot ramp to the field. Now, if you take $20,000 that we requested, and divide it by 76, it's what you come up with. 262 feet of ramp. And again, it's down to it's tough to say, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I indicated the 263. Now, if you want to cue that up, this is just a set of slides, shows you some of the ramps that we built and the groups that built them. And I'm not really going to comment on them. You can watch it, it goes, it goes along. If you have questions, we can go back to the particular slide, or if you have questions about anything, I'd be happy to answer. And we did, here's a brochure I'm going to leave with you. So when it comes time to hopefully fund our project, and remember us and help us out.
Actually, as we're watching the slides, I would have a question for you, and I preface it with the fact that the question is out of curiosity. It is not to be taken in any way as a negative. But I know that the First Ward Action Council also builds ramps, I think especially for senior citizens. Would you consider yourself a supplement or an enhancement to their program? Or do you not consider?
I would say we're a partner.
Okay,
I really don't know the history of it. I've never had the opportunity to work with First Ward Action Council to actually complete a ramp. So. I don't know if
because your ramps look remarkably like the quality that they do. So that's one of the reasons I asked, because in my neighborhood, there are several of them.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not sure.
And okay, would there ever be a chance that you might consider collaboration?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And it's good to know that you take them apart too, because I've often wondered as, elderly people leave the neighborhoods and there's that lovely ramp there. If the person who owned the house called you, you would be willing to come and dismantle it?
Absolutely.
Awesome. That will allow you to do more.
Yes, we
Okay.
try and reuse the
Fantastic.
materials.
Are there any other questions? I must say you're the first person that's put on a demonstration. It's very impressive. Thank you.
One thing I'd like to leave
Oh,
you
okay.
with is when I learned about the grant opportunity, I had, I think it was 83 applications on file. So I went through those and looked for residents in the city of Binghamton. And I picked the neediest one, which I'm able to derive a numerical score from the application process. And I went out and visited. And this doesn't happen very often, but this particular household, I could not put a ramp in there because there was 167 inches of elevation. So, this was 30, that was 160. And I talked with the parent. They have a 7-year-old that is multiple handicap, and they live in a split level home. And the only way that they can get this child in and out of the house right now is to carry him up and down the stairs. And in a few years, that's not going to be possible. So there is a way to solve that problem, and that is through a lift. I worked with the mother, and we located a place in the house where we could locate a lift and build a shaft for the lift to go in to get this youngster from the first floor, which is a drive-in basement, drive-in garage basement area, up to the first floor where the living quarters are. Problem is, a project like that, and I'm giving you a real rough number, would probably be around $35,000. But this child, 7 years old, he does live here in Binghamton, multiply handicapped, and they're not going to be able to carry him up the stairs too much longer. So I'm gonna get together with Steve at some point to see if I can amend my application to include that project as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Deb, you had a question? Excuse me, sir, we have a colleague up there who has a question for you.
Oh, sure.
You answered the comment a bit in your last part of your presentation, but you haven't been before us before. What brought you to CDAC funding consideration? Because what is refreshing is to see new programs to be considered. Many times we have the same programs over and over and over again without any seeking of other funds.
Yeah.
So I'm just welcome to our consideration, phenomenal demonstration in that family. If you contact Steve, there's another program for modification of their home that would not be part of this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm not in my normal spot, so I'm out of sight line. My fault, I came late. You said you had 83 applications on right now. How many of those are in the city of Binghamton roughly? Okay. Right. Okay, thank you very much.
And, you know, the 263 feet is, the money on those after through that kind of six branches.
Right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
I know, they're really nice ramp.
Isn't that, yeah, he is right. Yeah, yeah. Our gentleman from Roberson is Roberson, what the heck, right?
Crack me up. You crack me up.
We've been having that debate since I was 5 years old. That was a long time ago.
The Roberson? Robertson?
No, I remember him.
Me too.
Apparently, the family pronounced it Robertson, which is, it
Robertson?
should have two B's if it's gonna be Robertson. Go figure. But I guess you're allowed to mispronounce your last name if you want to.
Robertson?
I could call myself Callahan. McGregor. He would be able to pronounce it perfectly with his Scottish accent. And it's cute. Didn't you know? I watch a lot of PBS.
You would crack me up all day. But I know.
I know, I can be crazy on my
She's
birthday.
been making me laugh.
Good evening. You're very brave to come to us this late in the evening.
If I would've known
I'll try
that-
and keep everybody's
Okay.
attention for as short a period as
We're-
possible.
We're gonna try to be as adult as, I'm gonna try to be as adult as possible.
Not for my benefit, I hope.
No. Hello.
Hi, I'm Michael Grasso. I'm the Executive Director of Roberson Museum and Science Center. I say Roberson, I'm a townie. It's just
Okay,
the way I
thank
was
you.
raised. But we're really open to all kinds of pronunciations.
Well, technically, it should have two B's if it's gonna be Robertson.
See, that's what I
I
think.
mean, that's English rules.
Right. We do have a trustee on our board who is of that family and he calls himself Roberson. So it would be weird to have a board meeting and refer to the institution.
Cool.
It just seems weird to me, but
Well, now that we've got the important things out of the
Right.
way.
obviously. So I am here to talk about a safety and security grant. For those of you who have been on this committee for a while, this is probably going to look familiar. because we requested this funding last year and the mayor had different plans for CDBG funding. So he reallocated some things to another property on our site. So thank you for having me tonight, and also thank you for the previous support that you have
And
granted to
just
Roberson.
we have some new members. Can you tell them what it was we did do?
Oh, I absolutely can. The city granted Roberson $100,000 for a historic preservation project. The Randall House, which sits on Roberson's property, is the oldest extant house in the city of Binghamton.
Is that the carriage house?
It is not. It's actually the little white house next door.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Fun fact.
Thank you.
So Roberson Museum and Science Center has been in operation for almost 70 years. We serve the west side of Binghamton and have been an integral part of the city for many years, offering programs in art, history, and science to people of all ages. And I don't really have my notes because they're on the computer, so I'm going to kind of wing it. But what
know where
we
Steve-
are requesting today is an outdoor lighting request, and I have some visuals to share about that. These images are all from last year because the night still looks basically the same. I didn't see a need to update them. But this is what our parking lot looks like at 8 p.m. One of the things that I want to mention is with the new bridge program that is happening with Memorial Bridge, the upgrade that's going to be seeing, there is actually a stairwell coming down from that bridge onto our property, which you may or may not know about. No one is really sure why it's there. We are happy to have it. It brings us through traffic and is also a fabulous shortcut so that you can sort of round the corner down Front Street. But one of the problems is that the lighting is particularly poor. In this area here, which is well lit, these are lights that we have replaced at our own expense, trying to just make it a little bit safer of an area. We also tend to see, we have late night visitors under the bridge who spend a lot of time there. And we try very hard not to be not in my backyard people. So we want to make sure that while it is not our mission, we can support them in whatever way possible.
Can I stop you here and just ask you who actually owns the stair, whose property is the staircase on? Do you know? Is it part of Roberson's?
It is not our staircase.
Okay,
It is on our property.
really? Interesting.
Yes, our property extends to the bridge right there, but that is not our staircase.
So some miscreant came in and built your staircase that you did not.
It wouldn't be the weirdest thing to happen there, I can assure you.
I've used that staircase many a times growing up.
No, I said the miscreant built it. I didn't.
Oh.
use it. Come on, guys, give me a break.
It's a sideways accusation.
No, I didn't do that at all. That's what the
Yeah.
Pakistanis call bad guys. They call them miscreants. So I
Miscreant-
use that.
oh, that-
Miscreants,
it's a good
yes.
word.
Mhm.
So here's an example of some footage for our security camera. This was at 20 hours. What's 20 hours? Somebody help me out. At the 8 o'clock too? It's 8 o'clock at night, right? So we have some visitors. They walk through. The museum's not open, but it's dark, it's dangerous, and we would like people moving through. Over to the right, you can actually see one of our holiday displays. Tonight, in fact, we are hosting the second night of UHS's holiday party at the museum. And the folks who were outside from UHS directing traffic, they were wondering if we had any more lighting because they couldn't see. So some changes need to happen there. But you know, visitors biking through, taking selfies with the dog in front of the holiday decorations. This is all pretty typical behavior. Oh, there's the kids setting up the decorations. Again, these are last year's, but we do have new decorations. These are BOCES students from P-TECH, and they are wonderful to work with. I don't know if you guys know about P-TECH, but it's totally amazing. And we love working with the kids. They come in, they do this holiday display. Awesome. This image just shows the 3 light poles at the end of the driveway. Those are the green circles. Those lights are on actually. So just think about that, I guess. Yeah, it's a problem. And also the huge dark area over to the right. Again, lights that are on. The top 3, I think, are functioning. The bottom one is not working. My car is actually parked there. And I always park there because I feel like if anyone's going to be asked to park there, it should be me.
That's the building next to it.
Yeah, the building next to us is River House, the apartment complex. Here's a light that we replaced as attached to our building. This is what the whole parking lot should look like, essentially. Well lit. Again, we've got a lighting fixture. It's not on, doesn't function. Been there since probably 1960. And all of this ties into Blueprint Binghamton's larger comprehensive plan, which I think is still the strategic plan for Binghamton last I knew, hasn't been updated since then. Our application has some details about that I won't bore you with, and I also didn't memorize them because my notes are on the computer. But this does fit into the comprehensive plan in a few different ways. We do see every single City of Binghamton 4th grader for our Native American programming, as well as I think we see every 3rd grader now. I think that just started happening too. So we've been an important part of a lot of people's educations. If you grew up in Binghamton or even in the greater Binghamton area, Roberson was probably your first museum. It was mine. I'm from Endicott. So my goal is just to make sure that we are creating a safe environment for everyone who comes, kids, seniors, and families primarily, but also the folks who are just kind of wandering through. That's okay too.
Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I remember this presentation from before, and I'll ask the same question because I don't remember the answer. Where the lights will be replaced by the River House, is that going to be an issue with the residents that there's too much lighting? Like, do you have to get permission through Planning Commission? You have to go before that board to get approval to have the lights because, are you going to run into issues?
I do remember this question from last year. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think my answer last year was the lights now are, the light heads that we would be getting would be very specially focused. So there would be less light bleeding into other various areas, and they would be more directed down towards the driveway. And we do have enough of them, but we could also install multiple heads to spread out the puddle of light, as it were. I am 99% sure that we do not need to get any kind of
Permit. Is what
right.
I
We would need
learned.
an electrical
Nope.
permit, but beyond that, I don't think we would need another one because we're replacing like with like, just with a better quality of light.
I
But I'll
just
check.
hope you don't run into issues that way. That's all.
I will check before. I hate surprises.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And yet you came here. Interesting.
It's been delightful.
I have a question for you, and it's rather delicate and might even be a little bit on the political side, but it seems to me that if the river project and the whole bridge thing goes through, your lighting is incumbent upon the city of Binghamton to actually have something good there if they're going to keep that staircase. So it seems to me that you're asking for something more than just for Roberson.
Is that a question?
Yes, it is. Ha ha ha.
Yes, I think an argument could be made.
And that's why I asked, because we would be the ones to make that argument.
The argument could be made that the city has a responsibility.
Or at least has a dog in that fight.
Right. And I'm very supportive of the bridge project, politics aside. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great connection piece. I was quoted in the Press and Sun about it. I think it's really important. I also think that having appropriate lighting so that people can get to the bridge,
Mhm.
whether they do so on a sidewalk or through our parking lot, which has been made accessible to them,
Yeah,
is
well,
also
that
important.
staircase has created a unique conundrum, hasn't it?
It has, and we
Okay.
do our best to keep it clear. And like I said, we don't mind people using our parking lot for that. That's fine. People are still playing Pokemon Go in our parking lot on their phones. Believe it or not, it's still a thing that happens. And I'm happy to do that. We're a service to the community. That's what we're there for. I just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, frankly, including my staff.
Thank you. That's a fair question. That's a fair answer to a weird question, but thank you. Any other questions?
Oh, I feel like it would be like an insurance. problem
Michelle, could you
too.
put your, can you, so we can, I can barely hear you
Marilyn.
over here. I'm sorry,
Marilyn, that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
You got it.
I didn't have my
am.
nap today.
Like for insurance purposes, if anybody gets hurt walking through there without the lighting at night, you could be sued? Is that what you're worried about, or do you,
I mean,
whose
yes.
responsibility is it on the staircase if it's not yours? And someone gets hurt, it's on your property and,
Well, I can assure you the city has more money than we do, so it would be foolish to sue us. But
but
I don't know the answer to that question. I truly don't.
yeah, I see
We,
where she thinks maybe the city should be putting the light there.
I think
lights
it's,
there.
it's, what you present us with is relatively complex if you really think about it because of that staircase. It
Well,
raises all kinds of other issues to be considered.
In that vicinity near the staircase, there is a light pole that is gone. It's like chopped off like third of the way up where there was an additional light there and it's gone. They took that down at some point. So there was light at one point when they
Yeah.
put the new lighting in.
Yeah, and the reason I asked the question is because I think because of its broader implications, as we consider our deliberations, we might want to, and Steve will probably kill me for saying this, but get people from the city to actually sort of weigh in on it too. So, yeah,
yeah, the museum has had a very good relationship with the mayor's office.
hey,
at
you got
city.
the best choo-choo train in town, man. We're not gonna mess with you. No way.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's true. I love that train. Okay. Well,
I
you
have a-
survived.
I have a question. What are your hours?
We, during Home for the Holidays, which is the season that we are currently in, we are open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. And we are open late on Thursdays and Fridays until 9 p.m. During the other normal parts of the year, we're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays.
And you're open the rest of the week until when?
Rest of the week, we're open until 5, except on Fridays, we're open until 9.
Okay, thank you.
So there are times when you have clients, people coming in the dark.
I mean, even up at 4 o'clock during the winter, it's dark.
Yeah.
Welcome to Binghamton.
And even if we stay on daylight savings time forever, it'll still be dark at
It'll
5.
still be dark.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
Oh,
you.
What, I'm
Welcome.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Not a question, but a suggestion. Maybe you should just talk about the safety of it being dark and leave the stairs out of it.
Good.
Well, I brought up the stairs because as the city, as the block grant and city, we need to take those things perhaps into consideration or at least raise them for the city to understand that there might be liability that goes beyond Roberson there. And that was the only reason I brought that up. If the stairway weren't there, it would be very clear cut.
It
You need
just makes
lighting.
it seem like, okay, so there's stairs there, people use it to go from one part of the city to another. So like, I don't know, it just seems like it's not, it just seems like maybe you're bothered by the traffic and not that it's dark.
No, we're
So-
bothered by the fact that should there be an accident because it's dark, who's liable? Is it Roberson? Is it the city? Which may be something that the city would want to take into consideration, especially if that lamp post is gone. That's the only reason we brought it up,
Okay,
Yeah, happy to have the traffic.
because you're always thinking about the worst case scenario.
okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
How many total light poles is it? Do you know?
Yes, I do.
It's probably on your computer.
8.
8,
I
okay.
believe it's 8.
And they will be LED.
Oh,
very
yes.
energy efficient.
Yes, entirely.
Soft or warm? Light, bright?
I like a neutral 3000K.
Okay, there you go. Okay, we've covered to death. Thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
we really appreciate your long suffering. Thank you for putting up with me.
Been very pleasant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Family enrichment? There should have been a sign, enter at your own risk at the door there.
It's in this one right here. So it should be. right-
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm
Can you just
well,
give us
thank
one
you.
second? We're just trying to get the. He gave us, Did you get, yeah, today, did you get that?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Do you want me to get it?
right, right. Uh-huh.
Yep.
We all set? Okay. Deb, I just want to check that you have their application. Okay. Okay, I think we're ready. Please, thank you for your long suffering.
Thank you. My name is April Ramsey. I'm the Director of Program Development at Family Enrichment Network. Thank you for inviting me to this meeting. We are asking for funding to support our Emergency Solutions Grant Funded Caring Homes Program. With the Caring Homes Program, we provide assistance to support individuals so that they can remain stably housed or so that they can secure stable housing. We offer financial assistance for rent arrears, utility shutoffs, or security deposits. We've offered the program for 9 years now. We started in 2013, and over those 9 years, we've assisted 250 individuals, all residing in the city of Binghamton. In addition to providing the financial assistance to these individuals, we provide trauma-informed case management. So we actually employ a part-time case manager who identifies various goals of the individual to meet their immediate short-term and long-term needs. So when somebody comes to us, they're referred to us by the coordinated entry program. So someone will call 211, for example, and explain the situation. And if they're in need of financial assistance for those things that I just mentioned, 211 will then do an assessment. And if they're in the city of Binghamton, we'll refer them to us. Once we get that call, we go through a series of questions. We then meet with the individual and we talk about, where are you and where do you want to be, right? We also, in addition to offering the financial assistance and the case management, we offer home inspection. So if somebody wants to, a move because they can no longer live in their apartment or their house, our case manager will go in and offer an inspection to make sure that it's habitable. Okay. I think that's really important that we do that. The money always goes to the landlord or to the utility company. So City of Binghamton for water or sewer payments, or NYSEG for gas or electric. With this funding, we propose to serve 30 individuals over the course of the year. And I think Debbie made a very important point when she said, agencies come to us year after year asking for funding for the same programs. I think that's really important that she raises that. We're one of those who come to you year after year asking for funding for this program, but it's to serve the City of Binghamton residents. We have submitted proposals to the Broome County United Way before, and were successfully awarded. And what we did with that funding is provided the same service, but to individuals outside of the City of Binghamton. So all within the county of, Broome County. I also submitted a proposal to New York State Solutions to End Homelessness program. It was approved, but not awarded. So what that means is you scored high enough to get the funding, but we ran out of funding. And so the next cycle is in 2 more years, which we will apply for.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions? I have one quick question for you. People come to you through the 211 network and they are usually referred to that avenue by other agencies?
By another agency, they can independently call 211. Maybe they're working with a case manager and they're receiving services elsewhere. Sometimes it could be mental health counseling. It could be a domestic violence provider. And so they work with maybe other service providers who then call 211 to assist them with the referral
Pay no
process.
attention to the man behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah. The other question I had is you said 30 people. Does that really mean 30 families?
Yes, it means 30 families.
So there are more than, I mean, your outreach is much bigger than,
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So I wish I had a breakdown in front of me, but
That's
typically
okay.
a family is at least 2 children and 1 parent. Typically, that's typically what we're serving.
and if you weren't there to provide services, it would be really very desperate for some of these families.
I do not know of another agency that's providing the service.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deb?
One of the things for me is always key is outreach. We here in this room and when we were on Zoom had a theater experience in that we were able to learn about the programs. Just a suggestion to have more people know about it. I know I try to spread the word and people have gone to that. But a larger reach than just a voice would maybe be the new program on WBNG. It's in the morning. It's like an expanded community morning, as well as possibly one of the radio shows, because you never know who you're going to reach. It might be a reminder for an agency person, oh, that's a family I can help. It's always, getting your message out there because you folks do a great job and it's really needed. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? April, thank you for
Thank you
being
so
so
much.
patient and waiting for us.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Have a good evening. Take care. Yeah, no, okay. That's only me. Me without my nap. Um, sorry. This has been a weird session. I usually am not this weird. Right now, we would like to take up the business of the minutes and we have several.
I need to stress something. I do apologize that at the end of every single section of minutes, there is the budget. That was just because I copied and pasted the old minutes and then updated and keep forgetting to take the tables out. So the tables of budgets do not need to be in there. They're not, other than me just kind of endlessly reminding you guys of what the budget was approved for last year, that there's no need for those to be in there.
Well, it makes us look like a very important group because we are very mindful of the budget.
Reminding you guys.
We have a couple of ways we can do this, guys. We can look at them all at once and approve all of the minutes, or we can go one by one. It's sort of up to you guys, but it is 7:45 already, so I don't know. Just
I
saying.
suggest we just approve all of them at once. Just read off each date and
Okay. As the secretary, Michelle, would you,
I'll
Could you-
make a motion.
could you make
to-
a motion and then list the dates for us, please?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our
Um,
CDAC.
Suspend for 1 minute. Suspend, I heard that. on-
How many am I supposed to have? Because I have multiples of some of them. Okay, then I just have multiples. Okay. Sorry,
Which one do you have?
I have multiples of 30 and 23.
Okay.
Because we were so
Okay,
good.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
Okay.
supposed to have other ones as well. I apologize.
Okay, carry on.
To approve the minutes of our event on November 9th, 2022, November 23rd, 2022, and November 30th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. That guy, whatever his name is. Justin. Justin seconds. Everybody in favor, please say aye.
I
Opposed? Okay. Okay. Well, I know it's so sad, but we've come to the end of the meeting. And we will do another round of attendance, beginning with Deb. Could you begin?
Yes, Deborah Hogan, mayoral appointee.
Marilyn,
Maryland, Austin, sixth, fifth district.
Michelle O'Loughlin, fifth district.
Mary Ann Callahan, first district.
Kenya Middleton, mayor appointee.
Justin McGregor, seventh district.
Brandy Brown, third district.
John Brunza, mayoral appointee.
Thank you. Have a lovely Christmas. We'll adjourn until December 28th. 3 days after Christmas, we can talk about what Santa brought us. You don't want to come? We'll get Steve to bring us eggnog. No, we have to bring our own brandy. Come on.
Yeah, where's our cake?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hello? Hey, Marianne? Did you adjourn? Did you do a vote? Oh, you're still up in discussion. Okay, sorry, just checking. Did you do, yeah, you got to vote on it. You voted on the minutes.
We
I'll
voted on
make,
attendance.
I'll make a motion. Yeah. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have Michelle.
Second,
As
everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And to be fair, I had a birthday party where a 2-year-old came. So I'm exhausted. Because one 2-year-old, you should see this kid.